Today we're going to talk about the top mistakes that real estate investors, the beginner ones, the ones that are investing for their first time, are making. And I'm Lina. I'm your local strategist here in the greater Houston area, Texas, United States. And I'm with my very good friend from Dubai.
I'm Paula Gambrell, and I obviously am a partner and a managing director at Jad Global here in Dubai, which is a real estate developer in the area.
So Paula and I get together once a month and we have a little conversation about real estate development, investments, and well, I hope you enjoyed today. And let's get started. So I want to volunteer for the first one, Paula, because it's one that I've been getting a lot.
Go ahead.
People choosing a strategy based on what other people are doing instead of a strategy that aligns with who they are. So where am I seeing this is people looking in social media, and I'm guessing that they look, let's say, to a fix and flip. The algorithm starts sending them more fix and flip, and then suddenly they decide that everybody's doing it and that they should do it too. But before taking or making that decision, they're not sitting down with themselves, with their business partner, or with their, whoever's doing the project with them, and really just saying, what are we trying to achieve? Are they trying to get additional income? Is it generational wealth? Are they looking for a place, let's say, that they travel to Dubai, 10 times a year, and they don't want to stay at a hotel anymore. They want their own place to stay, and they want to rent it the rest of the time. Or, how much time or what resources do they want to allocate to this project? So those are all things that you need to sit down and have a conversation or think about before going ahead and investing. What are your thoughts?
And I absolutely agree. Actually, it's my also number one point, but I put it as following the hype. So going after the hype rather than the data. And interestingly, I was having a conversation today where someone asked me how the market is doing. I said, forget what my thoughts are. Let's talk about the data, right? How many transactions are happening? What's happening? What are the plans of the government? So I always say for investors, honestly, it's always the data that matters, not what others are necessarily doing. So the hype is exciting. Obviously, developers, I say we enjoy hypes because hypes sell your product. But
100%,
as a first-time investor, definitely my recommendation is you always, even if you're buying your first home, you should follow data and not emotions when it comes to buying your first home.
Oh, 100%.
Or second or third, basically.
Yeah.
I think number for me, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was going to say number two. What would you say for number two?
I think for me, it's short-term versus long-term planning, and that has two sides, for it. What I mean by that is a lot of people buy when the market is doing very well, and they buy on the basis of, I might not be able to afford the rest of the installment, especially in Dubai market, because it's a lot based on off plan, just like Miami, right? You buy off literally a layout and a few renders, and then 3 years or 4 years down the line is when you're going to receive your actual property. So a lot of buyers come in because they've heard from their community friends who made money previously by flipping the property, and then they go in, clearly don't have, again, a lot of data that backs it up, and coming in at a later stage as well of the market. So, and I always say, when you're investing, wish for the best, but plan for the worst. So never enter into any transaction, even if the market is going to do very well. Great, let it do well, get your 40% ROE, 50%, 200, whatever it is. But always be prepared that if things don't go well, you're able to afford it, and not because of that if you can't afford it, you can't lose it. I mean, you can always sell it in the market, but why sell it at a much lower price and then go about and talk about the market not doing well? Hold on to it. The market is gonna go up again. You know what I mean? So, because it's a cycle, it's a real estate cycle that we go through.
And it's someone told me a few years ago that I back then I didn't understand it, and now I understand it 100%. Is in real estate, you make your money at the beginning, not at the end. So putting it in my context over here, if you're doing a fix and flip, make sure that you buy it at a good price. That way, yeah, if the market is doing amazing, you'll be able to sell it at an amazing price. But if suddenly the market goes down, you could still sell it, get some profit, or even end up even, versus ending up having to hold it because, you just can't sell it, or you're not going to get the profit that you wanted. The same thing in the build to sell strategy. You buy the land at a good price, so it doesn't matter necessarily how good or bad the market is, you're still going to get some profit out of it.
True. And again, like I said, many times I always tell friends of mine when they ask me what should I invest in and where to put my money, I always tell them, okay, go into this, and yes, in a year we'll try and flip it and we're gonna get this much returns. But worst case scenario, you continue with it and then you rent it. You're still gonna make a return on income. You know what I mean? And especially Dubai is quite well known with our return on income, I have to say. So the only thing is there's always this hype around, this guy actually flipped and made 200% and 150. And I'm like, guys, they bought when Dubai just started real estate. Like these numbers don't exist. And actually it's now a bit risky to think that way. You know what I mean? Like it's not a stable. I would say today, Dubai, the beauty of Dubai is you can see that it's stabilized. You see the income coming in. It's the same income throughout the years. Yes, our numbers are improving, but it's not a 200%. It's not a 3-digit, you know what I mean, jump in the market. And yes, great for those who have a long-term vision and entered the market at that stage. But that's not something that can continue for a lifetime.
Exactly. I agree with you. So what other mistake do we have? I believe that another big one is, especially if someone is building or doing a fix and flip, is not taking into consideration the end user, who's going to buy that project. So people a lot of times think that an investment project is going to be 100% logical because you start with your spreadsheet, seeing your numbers. But when it comes to the construction or the fix and flip, some people forget about the end user and they build based on what they like, what the place where they would like to live, what, the fixtures that they would like to have, the layout that they would like to have, and then sometimes end up with something so customized or so unique that it doesn't appeal to your general, buyer's pool. It only appeals to maybe that one person that thinks just like you. So then suddenly, the property sits on the market for a long period of time and they don't understand why. And it's because they didn't take into account who was going to purchase that property. So like when I'm working with my investors, before they start putting in the floors and the fixtures and all that, I take them on we do a little field trip around the area so they can actually see, not just in pictures or by me telling them, so they see what is being sold, what is out there, what are people asking for. And that way they can make their product based on that. It appeals to a wider pool of people, and then we get a buyer quick.
That's quite interesting because while you're talking about this as, first-time investors, for me, this is a common mistake with developers in this region, because many developers come in thinking, I'm going to rationalize and value engineer everything so I can make more profits in order to make it exciting, which actually brings me to the fourth mistake, because, when you talk to a lot of investors, they'll tell you, no, but I want to buy this because the price per square foot is lower. And I always say, but what's the value of the property? Like what amenities, what services, what quality is being provided to you? Are you doing an apple-to-apple comparison? Because if you're not...
especially where you are. I'm sure with the amenities and that kind of things, like it's really important. And I see it in Miami. Like you can't just have any project. Like people are going to want the spa and even the spa for the dog and the gym and all kinds of things.
And not only that, Lina, I've seen areas where, for example, you're renting a one bedroom for, $30,000, for example, okay? This is per annum, okay? Not monthly, obviously. And then you see the project next door to you is at $40,000. And you're thinking, how is he able to get a $10,000 extra? Well, it's because his property was a better size of a unit. It has better quality. The building has more amenities. So obviously he paid a higher fee to get it, but it's a property that will last him for a very long time and will demand a much higher rental income because of the fact that the end user loves it and wants to live in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I tell my developers too. You need to make a good quality product.
Yeah, and is willing to pay that additional $10,000 a year or whatever is the value. I mean, obviously here I'm using examples in order to live in a better place, because at the end of the day, as an end user, you wanna enjoy the place you're living in, right? That's where you spend.
And there's enough around to compare over there, I'm sure, like the same over here. And if the quality is not there, people are not going to pay the price. Absolutely. Like I have some clients that I love when they build, and I love selling their products because they put so much attention to detail that when that product hits the market, in 1-2 weeks, it's sold. And other agents have told me like the quality is good. And now that's how I sell it. You know, it's like they focus so much on detail. And if you want this property, you have 1 max 2 weeks because it will be gone.
And this is why I always say, and even in our last conversation, if you remember, I said buying as an end user is a very emotional process because, you know, it's just so dear to you. This is your future home. As a person, like I always say this to end users because, you know, there are many friends of mine who will like rent it, especially Dubai is such a transient market, right? So you have a lot of people influx coming in from all over the world, people coming in, they have job opportunities, they're quite great, lifestyle is quite good over here as well. So they'll come in, they'll rent, and then a few years down the line, they love it so much, they don't want to leave the country, right? So the minute they decide they don't want to leave, they want to buy. So a lot of friends now come to me and ask me, you know, where should we buy? And is this the right price? Is it expensive? Please tell us. And I say, listen, if you're buying your home, there's no, there is no right price to it. You enter, you feel it's right, you pay it. It doesn't matter because your investment is actually that you're going to live in a house that gives you that appeal. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to flip it for a better rate or you're going to, you know what I mean, rent it later on for a better rate. These things become perks. Personally, I feel if I'm an end user, these things become perks. But at the same time, you can always strategically plan it. So this is where I say, okay, you're renting for 3 years. Why don't you go and choose something in the off-plan market? You can buy it at a much cheaper rate, still be as demanding in terms of the size you want, the location you want, the view you want, all of that. But wait for it for 3 years, and trust me, you're gonna even feel much better when you live in it because you're gonna make money out of it if eventually you decide to leave, to sell it, God forbid something happens, you know what I mean? You need the money. So yeah, I mean, I would say that's one thing I've seen, at least from my close circle of friends and even like from conversations with brokers. But that's because I personally don't necessarily deal with first-hand buyers directly. This is quite important for first-time investors to know, and hopefully next time we'll cover more topics as well. That could be exciting.
We definitely will.
Great. Thank you very much for having me today again, Lina.
Oh yes, I enjoy these conversations, Paula, and I enjoy that we decided to have them once a month. And for everybody following, well, we'll see you all next month.